Astro 3D is the Australian Research Council's Centre of Excellence in all-sky astrophysics in 3 dimensions and covers a wide variety of research topics. I'm Teresa and I will be showing you how to create some images of the early universe. We are going to be doing this with some bubble art, which is really cool because it's a hands-on activity and you get to better understand how the first stars and galaxies formed, as well as learn about what we're looking for when we are searching for those first stars and galaxies. Today we are looking primarily at the early universe during a period of the first billion years called the Epoch of reionization. During the Epoch of reionization, the first stars and galaxies began to form. There was a lot of neutral hydrogen gas in the universe, and it began to clump together so much that the largest clumps began to make their own light as they became stars. Neutral hydrogen is visible to radio telescopes, though not to the human eye, and astronomers can find neutral hydrogen everywhere from the beginning of the universe to within our own galaxy. The light from the stars shone on the neutral hydrogen gas that hadn't formed stars and began to change it, to ionize it. This process of ionization created large bubbles of invisible hydrogen around the stars and galaxies. Even radio telescopes cannot see ionized hydrogen. What astronomers are looking for is when the neutral hydrogen signal started to get weaker, which will indicate when those first stars and galaxies were forming. So what you are going to need for this activity are things that you will hopefully be able to find fairly easily within your own house. So to start with, we need a towel, some water, some sort of liquid soap, water-soluble paint, a straw, a small jar, some sort of tray or a plate, and finally you will want something to make your art on. You can use some paper. Try not to use normal printing paper, that is a little bit too thin for this activity and the paper might tear or dissolve. If you've got some slightly thicker paper, you might want to print on it. We have these activity sheets that give a full set of instructions on how to set up and run the activity for yourself, as well as some science on what you're looking at in this activity and how to interpret it as the beginning of the universe. If you don't have any decent paper that you can use for it, you can just use a piece of cardboard. It will be preferable to use cardboard than a thin piece of printing paper, just because the cardboard will hold together much easier than the printing paper will. Setup for this activity is very straightforward. You get your jar, you put it in the tray in the center, you use your straw or air blowing device of choice to create bubbles within the jar. So to get the bubble syrup, you want your liquid soap of whatever kind you're using. You don't want too much of that. Just a little squirt is fine. You also want your paint of whatever variety is you're using. Just a few drops of that. It does depend on how dark a color it is. I would suggest going for a more dark color than a lighter color. Finally, you want to add your water. You don't need much in there. Within this tiny jar, I only filled it up about halfway. I'm going to give it a stir with my straw. I'm sure many of you have been told many times whilst in public with your parents not to make bubbles in your drinks, but here this is exactly what we are going to do. So with me we go all right, as you can see, the bubbles went cascading all over the jar and they're now collecting in the tray. This is why we have a tray. So I am going to take my piece of paper. This is upside down to start with. So you want to take this side with the grid on it, and you want to lay that down onto your bubbles. So you want to lay it down nice and slowly on there for maybe half a second, and then lift it back up again. So I'm going to create some more bubbles again and immediately put this piece of paper onto them once I'm finished. And sometimes you may get the odd bubble that sticks on. You can just poke those out with your finger if you like, or let them disappear on their own. And you will end up with this beautiful image of your baby universe. So as you look at this beautiful image, you can think that within each little bubble is a star, a newborn star that's shining nice and brightly and changing the hydrogen around it to become transparent. Remember that astronomers can't see these bubbles of ionized hydrogen the stars and galaxies are making around themselves. All the astronomers can see is the neutral hydrogen left behind, and they are looking for the signal of that neutral hydrogen to get weaker. When the neutral hydrogen signal gets weaker, it's because the stars have turned some of it into ionized hydrogen, making it invisible. They can't see the bubbles directly and they can't see the stars directly, but they can count how much hydrogen there is. And if that hydrogen amount that they can see reduces, then they know that there must be some stars, making the hydrogen invisible to them or transparent. You might want to turn it into your own little piece of artwork by adding some stars and galaxies of your own. Get out your pencil set, draw some stars, some galaxies, maybe some planets and some aliens as well. It's your baby universe. You can do with it what you like. You can take your artwork, you can make some more bubbles if you like. Make some more bits of your little baby universe. Try and work out what kind of star might have created each bubble. Is it a young star? Is it an old star? Is it a small star or a big star? Is there something else about the star? What about its color? Have you noticed stars have different colors? Those relate to the temperature of the star. Maybe the temperature changes affect the size of the bubbles as well. I hope you enjoy this activity, and I hope you continue wondering what is out there and how we got here.